Hi, everyone. Welcome to our last Goucher Ask Me Anything live stream before the May 1st deadline. We'll be answering questions for those still deciding, as well as those folks who have chosen Goucher. You can send in questions to us using the chat function at the right of the video on the 2023 Facebook page or via text at 410-469-8243. So I will get started. I'm Jamie Mullaney. I'm a professor of sociology. I'm also an alum of Goucher. I am currently serving as associate provost for faculty affairs, which will be probably less interesting to you. And I am a parent of a first-year student.
Hi everyone, my name is Chris Mayhew. I am a senior student from Fairfax, Virginia. I study international relations and French.
Hi people, my name is Yuchen Ding. I'm a first-year international student from China, and I'm currently triple major in international relations, economics, and political science.
Sure. So the first question is, why did you choose Goucher? So, Yuchen, why did you choose Goucher?
The reason why I chose Goucher is mainly because of our social justice-oriented curriculum and the campus atmosphere as well, and it was very important to me. And another aspect is to study abroad. I really wanted to explore the world while I was in college. So Goucher offered me that platform. So that's why I'm here.
That's really similar because I wanted to come to Goucher for a similar reason. I'm from Fairfax, Virginia, and that's only an hour away. But I really wanted to come to a school that had an international focus and that had a study abroad component. So over the course of my junior year, I was able to study abroad 2 times, which was really special. Why did you choose Goucher?
I'll talk about choosing it as a faculty member, since it's a little different. So as I mentioned, I am an alum of Goucher. And when I was in graduate school, I knew I was being trained to want to teach at a big research university, but I knew that my heart was always at a small liberal arts school. So Goucher was home for me in a lot of ways, being my alma mater, but also Baltimore's home for me. So I was really fortunate to be able to come back to Goucher to teach.
So the first question, or I should say the second question, excuse me. Can students who are not minoring in theater participate in productions? And the answer is a resounding yes, you can participate in theater productions. We love it when students who don't major in theater or minor in theater are active in the department. I'm really active in the department. I've been in probably close to 10 productions now in different roles. I have written plays, I've sound designed plays, I've acted in plays, but this past semester I got the chance to write and I played keys in a musical that me and some other students wrote. And I got to do all of that without ever taking a theater class before. So one of the special things about Goucher is that there's a culture of inclusivity in the extracurriculars. So we really like it when students are kind of getting out of the bubble of their major or out of their little niche and trying new things. So absolutely, we really encourage students to get out there and try new things.
And the next question is about, is there any way to take sign language? Well, we don't offer a sign language course at Goucher, but we do have a College Town partnership program with other schools in the Baltimore area that allows you to take classes that Goucher does not offer at their campuses without a cost. The tuition is, of course, included in your Goucher tuition. So yeah, it's a great program, and I'm sure that you can find something there that can accommodate you.
Yeah, I had a friend who wanted to study Japanese, and we don't offer Japanese at Goucher, but he was able to get into a Japanese class at Towson, and he rode his bike over twice a week. So
we also have an ASL club here. So yay, more involvement.
The next question is about AP credits. We do accept AP credits. It's 4s and 5s, and it is to the discretion of the
program.
Yeah. Yes. And for me personally, my AP environmental science course credit was accepted by our CPE environmental requirement. So yeah, we do accept some of the AP credits.
And there is a chart in the catalog if you want to check that out.
So Dylan asks, how do freshmen fill out the survey for roommate selections? That is a great question, Dylan. We can talk all about roommates because it's one of those really exciting colleges. When you commit to Goucher, I believe it's going to come out after May 1st, but we're going to have the roommate. The housing form is one of the first things that you get once you get the whole package after committing to Goucher. It's going to be on the first year portal, and it's going to be there along with the placement exams and all the other information for when you come to Goucher. And that's when you fill it out, and you can say what kind of person you are, if you like to stay up late, or if you like to go to
music.
If you listen to like aggressive jazz music before you go to sleep.
Aggressive jazz.
Very specific.
That's me. That's why. It's really important for me. I mean, stuff like that. I live in a
Why? Oh gosh. Okay, moving on. What type of activities are held on campus? So we have clubs. We have, I believe, more than 50 different clubs present on campus, and we do hold club fairs every single semester in the beginning, so you can sign up for as many as you want or as little as you want. We also have a very cool thing called GIG, Get Into Goucher Day. GIG. So this is pretty much a day that Goucher students get together to celebrate the school with the school. So there will be various activities set up. So this year we had a boat riding thing in our Athenaeum, and that was really fun. And I believe there was food trucks, there was vendors, and people were just having a good time. Classes canceled after 12. So that's really a highlight. Do you have anything to add on, Chris?
I was at a conference in Chicago this year, so I wasn't able to go to GIG. It's really sad.
That's okay. It's a diversity opinion like a Goucher. That's a very interesting question, Greta. I would describe a lot of students at Goucher to be left-leaning. The school really hosts a lot of misfits of society, I would say. People who have been deemed, weird or artsy in high school and who has been ostracized in some way. We do have a lot of marginalized community here, and our voices are really strong. And I think the community here respects that. So, that's my answer for this question.
So Greta's other question is, how is it living in Baltimore? So we're actually located 20 minutes north of Baltimore. I think our location is one of our selling points. A lot of schools we consider our peer institutions are in very rural areas. So we're really close, as I said, to Baltimore. We're also close to Washington, D.C., not so far from New York, Philadelphia. So there's a lot to do. There's also a college shuttle that can help students get to various places around the city, also to other colleges. So you can stay on campus. There's, as they both mentioned, there's plenty to do on campus, but there's a lot of opportunity to get off campus and explore. We have some great neighborhoods in Baltimore that are worth getting out to see.
One of the really nice things about our location is that we're really close to Towson also, which is the county seat of Baltimore County. And there's a lot to do in Towson itself, just because Towson is also a big college town and it's the home to Towson University. So there's bars and cafes and restaurants and the library in Towson, which all have its own pool. And you can walk to Towson from campus. It's only 10 minutes.
Yeah, one of the big perks of our location is we are just a 15-minute walk from the mall. So if you like to spend money like me, it's very easy to drop $100 for a weekend. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Do you ever feel homesick? Yes, Joseph, I do. My home is on the other side of the world. And I do miss my parents. Interesting fact, I actually got an internship this summer. I've been looking for the past 2 months. And I was really happy when I heard back and that I got an internship. I called my dad. Thank you. I called my dad, and he was really angry. He said, "Are you getting an internship in the States? You need to come home and see us." And blah, 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 blah. And I said, "Okay, yeah, I miss you too, Dad. So I'll come home." So I guess I'm going home for the summer. But I think that's for the better. So What about you, Chris? Do you miss home?
I miss home, but I'm also I live like an hour away from my hometown, so
There you go.
I go home like once a month. About 3/4 of Goucher students come from outside of Maryland, so there definitely is a kind of like nationwide representation. Um, so don't worry, it's not like you're going to be. If you do feel homesick, it's not like you're going to be the only one. Second question: was it challenging to make new friends? I don't think so. I think it depends. I think it depends on the person, and it depends on what your interests are. Because one of the nice things about Goucher is that we have a lot of clubs for a school of our size. Some of my favorite ways to meet people were through intramural soccer, because you play the game, and then at the end of the game, everyone's all hot and sweaty and pumping with adrenaline, and that somehow makes you a lot more friendly. And then you're more likely to chat with people afterwards.
It's very true.
Yeah.
And there's a very friendly culture here at Goucher. Like, you will be walking to class and people will just randomly start talking to you, and you never talked to them before. So yeah, people here are super approachable and super nice. And yeah, I don't think you're gonna have a hard time making friends at all. So if you have joined a club, do you enjoy the extracurricular activities at Goucher? And what club did you join? So I'm a big Model UN person. We actually do go to conference every single year. We go to the Harvard National Model UN Conference, and that is super intense. And we do prepare all year just for this one conference. We pretty much meet every single Sunday for a simulation, to prepare and learn. And yeah, we go in February. So before that, we're just preparing, and it's very intense. But you do make a lot of friends along the process, and yeah, you do build connection with people.
What are your projects for this summer, like research and study abroad trips? Well, let me tell you. Right now I'm in the process of working with one of the international relations professors. We're trying to get a research or funding so we can have she can have some research positions so that we can maybe me and another student can help her with publishing maybe some projects that she's working on right now. Jamie, do you maybe know anything about student research positions on campus?
I do. There are there are a few opportunities for non-science students, but there is, I would say, for science students, there are a lot of opportunities to work with faculty over the summer. So we do have a faculty research program. I also wanted to address the study abroad part of that question. I have taken students to Costa Rica twice. So there are different ways that you can study abroad, which you may or may not know at this point. So students can study abroad for a semester. Some students choose to study for a year abroad. And you also have the option of studying abroad for 3 weeks. We call them ICAs, intensive course abroad. And those trips are faculty led. So you'll travel with Goucher faculty. So as I said, I've been to Costa Rica twice with students, and typically, I mean, all the programs look very different, but a lot of times students will do homestays during that. So you'll actually live with a local family. You're often carrying out, on our trip, we carry out a research project, something that we study in the community, but also something that we can give back to the community so that we're not just being tourists while we're there. Some of the trips travel around a little more than others. So those are really good opportunities for students who are in very structured majors and may not be able to get away for a semester or don't want to get away for a semester. There's 3 weeks options either in the summer or January are available.
How is the study abroad option? Well,
Anything to add?
it's not an option, it's a requirement.
Exactly. You have to go.
Unless you're totally an international student, in which case being at Goucher kind of is a study abroad.
That's true.
So you don't need to study abroad again.
But speaking of options, we can pretty much send you to anywhere you want. We do have a map, I believe is online, of all the programs here we offer. I'm sure one of them will interest you because I looked at the list and there's more than 30 programs on there.
There's more than 60.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, 60 programs. So. Howdy, I'm a non-binary potential student wondering what the LGBTQIA plus community support look like on Goucher campus and how welcome that be at school. you will be super welcomed at this school. We have a saying here that we're the gayest school in America, and it's sort of true. We do host a very large population of LGBTQIA students, and the culture is definitely very supportive, and the network of support we have here is incredible compared to a lot of other schools. And yeah, as a member of the community myself, I'd say I'm very well loved here, and I haven't really encountered any trouble. So yeah, no worries.
We also have a center called CRE, which is a center that can work with marginalized communities, and they do work with LGBTQIA.
Yeah, so CRE stands for Center for Race, Equity, and Identity. Yep, so we offer affinity spaces for students of color, LGBTQIA community members, students with physical disabilities, first generation college students, and so on. So pretty much anybody who's been marginalized in any way, we do have a place for you on this campus, and we welcome you.
So, next question: how do you accommodate food allergies? Great question. In the dining hall, in the Mary Fisher Dining Hall, which is brand new, it just opened up in August, and is
super beautiful, by the way.
beautiful. We have vegetarian options, vegan options, gluten-free options, dairy-free options. They have a station there called Oasis that specifically caters to students who may have dietary restrictions or allergies. In addition, they have another station that specifically does kosher and halal food. So we were really mindful in constructing the new dining hall to keep it inclusive for everyone in the community.
Absolutely.
And the food is amazing. Faculty and staff eat there all the time too because it's really quite good.
So what is the gap year accommodation like?
So gap year students, just in case you didn't know, are students who take a year off or maybe a couple of years off in between high school and college. There are a good number of gap year students at Goucher. You can usually tell because they come back and they're a little bit more mature.
All gapped here.
Yeah.
All gapped up.
There's a gap year club, so the students can get together and they can bond about the experience of having a couple of years or maybe just 1 year off in between high school and college. And in addition, I believe that we are still housing gap year students together if they want on the gap year hall, the first year village.
And I believe we have a counselor here at our admissions office that specifically cater to students who have taken a gap year. So yeah, great support network. What's the food like here? It's really good. The food is awesome. We are ranked very high on nation's best food for college. I believe 23. Yep, that's what I thought. 23. And we're a super small school, so that really does say something. And our dining hall, Mary Fisher Dining Hall, it's brand new. And as Chris mentioned before, we serve a variety of different foods. And yeah, you can pretty much find whatever you want here. We have stir fry, we have sandwich, we have a sandwich station. We have pizza, we have pasta, we have an explore station, which is they pretty much bring in new cuisine from different part of the world every single week. And yeah, it's always a nice surprise to see what you're gonna get next week, and the food is always on point there.
Jimmy, what is your favorite meal in the dining hall?
It's that corner. It might be. Is that Oasis the one you're talking about?
Is it the one that's
If you're face on the right.
right?
Yeah.
The one that
They
has
usually have
the bowls.
Indian food or Thai
Yeah,
food. Yes.
Yeah.
They had poke bowls the other week. Those were phenomenal. I was actually I had really low expectations because I didn't know if Goucher could pull off like the poke bowls. I was really pleasantly surprised. It was really nice.
Yeah, they had like tuna, salmon.
Yeah.
They had all kinds of different fish. They made it like in different ways too. It was really good.
So
The ramen bowls too.
yeah. Next question. In terms of residential life, are there choices for singles? Are there apartment style options? What are the living options? Let me tell you about living on Goucher's campus. So all first year students live in the first year village, and these are 3 dorms that all together make a quadrangle. All of those rooms are doubles. So for your first year, you can expect to be living with a roommate. It's part of the college experience, don't worry. After that, as a second and a third and a fourth year student, the rest of the dorms are open to you. We have some dorms that are singles, some that are doubles. Most of those are on hallways, so it'll just be your room, and then the bathroom is down the hall, and it's shared by everyone on the hall. There are apartments on campus, and there are suites on campus. So a suite, for example, could be 2 doubles, and they share a bathroom and sometimes also a common room. And then the apartments on campus, we do have on-campus apartments. Most of them are in Welsh Hall, or the T, that's where I live. And I live in an on-campus apartment that's 4 singles and a little common room and a little kitchenette with a fridge and a sink and a bathroom that me and my 4 roommates share. Well, no, excuse me, me and my 3 roommates. There's 4 people who live in the apartment together.
And I do like to add that if you have a medical condition that needs to be accommodated, we can absolutely find you a single, no problem. Right. Also, does a study abroad have to accommodate your major? For example, could an art major go on a science-focused trip? I believe you can. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way that the study abroad works, especially with the 3-week trips, students can really go to any of them. So, for example, when I took students to Costa Rica, each time I had about 20 students, and I only had 1 or 2 sociology/anthropology majors. So, which was great for me because I got to meet and spend time with students that I wouldn't normally be able to on campus. So each program also decides how they count classes when you're abroad. So we'll have in sociology, anthropology, we have a policy that we count 2 classes towards the major while you're abroad. So we really tell students to go where you want to go, take advantage of this opportunity to live somewhere else for 6 months, study what you want, and we'll figure out. I mean, we have an advantage that there are culture and society classes pretty much everywhere, but we figure out a way to help students, move along the major while they're abroad.
When I went abroad, so I went abroad 2 times, and the first time I went abroad, I did an internship in Brussels, and my 2 majors are French and international relations. So I interned at an NGO that was an immigrants organization. So that really fits both of my majors really, really well, and I was able to get classes that worked for both of them. And then for my second semester, I went to Tokyo and I studied Japanese language, and that had nothing to do with either of my majors, and that was totally okay. I just racked up the elective credits, so it's totally up to you. Another question that just came in talking about payment for study abroad. So when you go abroad for a semester, it's considered part of your tuition. So you don't have to pay anything supplemental except for the price of your flights to the program, and then maybe if you want to go on an extra little vacation while you're over there. If you do an ICA trip, that's considered an extra class that's outside of your 8 Goucher semesters. So there is usually an additional cost that comes with the ICA.
And those vary in price too, depending on the location. So there's not a set fee for the ICAs, but it will depend on how much traveling you're doing within the country that you're going to, how expensive it is to get there, cost of food, etc.
And of course, there are scholarships and grants, both for the ICAs and for full semesters. Yep. So we really try to make the study abroad affordable for everyone.
So Jordan asked, if I get an on-campus job, would the pay go directly to me, or do I have to use it to pay for my tuition or room and board? So the money do go directly towards you. You can either sign up for a payment that goes directly to your credit or debit card, or you can receive a check. So the money goes to you. And Annie asked, do you guys have the ability to create your own major? For example, aerospace engineering. Could a major be made? We do have a program here, IMM, that you can combine 3 majors into one, and it's called an interdisciplinary. I'm blanking on
it's individual interdisciplinary major.
Okay, there you go. I was really struggling there.
So the idea is a lot of students have a major and a minor, or a double major. And when you have a double major, you don't necessarily need to study something that is at the intersection of the 2 fields of study. So there are some people where they find 2 things that dovetail together really nicely. I have a friend who studies French and theater, and her niche is studying French theater.
Mhm.
So that's like one example of that dovetailing together. There's some people who study like computer science and English, and there's not a whole lot that those two share, and that's okay. That's okay. But there are some people where they want to study three things, and that features you want to study something that kind of exists in a triangle in between three fields of study. And that is something, and when you do that, you have to propose it to, well, you have to get the individual department, the programs to sign off on it.
Right. So you actually get a major in, an advisor in each of the three areas of study. So, and the committee or the person who will be approving the IIM really wants to see that this is something that can't be accomplished by majoring and minoring or doing some other combination. So it really is something unique and something, so you have to make the case of why this major, why you should be creating this major. But again, the advantage is that you end up having three advisors in the process.
You manage your time while also playing sports. Well, as an ex-swimmer, I have a little experience about this.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I no longer do that because I just don't have time. So like time management. Well, we're a D3 school. Let me start with that. But yeah, the practice is pretty intensive. It's not nearly as much as a D1 school where you'll be, swimming for 6 hours every single day. But our practice still lasts about 2 to 3 hours every day, and depends on what sports you play. It can get really, really intense. But our athletes are very, very strong people, and they do push through both academically and on the field. So, and we're very proud of them. So,
In my sense, as faculty, just observing students in my classes who play sports, is that the coaches are very in touch with the academics for the students and making sure that they are making academics a priority. And so I think that's a great support system as well.
yeah, so athletes are required to attend the study hall every single week with their teammates. It's usually for about 2 to 3 hours. The reason why we had this set up is because we want you to be a good student before you become a good athlete. So yeah, you can totally manage your time while being an athlete, no problem.
So Madeline asks, what are some of the options for working on campus and possible jobs that you could have while at Goucher? So, well, the shining example is that you could work in the admissions office. You could be an admissions ambassador like we
Yes,
are.
you can.
I'm thinking some of the other popular ones. Students can work with at the dining halls on campus, either at the dining hall or at the coffee shop Alice's. We have students who work as RAs. That's another really popular job. So residential assistants. And another really cool job that you have to wait until after your first year is to be a first year mentor. And those are the students who lead the first year seminar classes. Did you have a good relationship with your
I
first
do,
year?
yeah. She's one of my good friends,
Good.
and I love her. And you can also get a job at a library. Those are really popular.
Yeah, that's a really
People
cool job.
love working in the library, and apparently you get paid pretty well. So, yeah, if you do come here, apply for a job at the library. You can also work for FMS. It's a lot of outdoor work.
Yeah, if you like to work with your hands, that's a good job for you.
Exactly. If you like nature, that's totally a job for you. And we also have working for teacher positions.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So if if you're really good at math, you can possibly get a job to be essay.
An
Yeah,
SI,
an SI,
a
yeah, that's what that's
supplemental
called.
instructor.
Yes.
And then you'll hold like study hall hours, and people can come to your sessions. You can help tutor them. We also have TA positions sometimes if a professor would like, where a student can help out with some of the administrative tasks.
Yeah, that usually happens in a science major like biology and chemistry, where there's a larger lecture class.
Have you ever had TA?
I have not, but I have used an SI before in one of the more demanding classes in our major, our theory class. It's one that it was definitely, I think, a help to have a student do supplemental. So, that student would meet with the current students outside of class when papers were due and things like that. Yes.
Awesome.
That's really helpful.
Yeah.
So what is the academic workload like? In week, what is this, week 12?
Well,
Gosh.
I think this is a difficult question because it depends a lot on your work ethic. It depends on the classes that you're taking. It depends on your major. There are some majors, or some programs, I should say, where there are a lot more exams. So specifically in some of the STEM programs, there's a lot more exams that you'll then have to like study and prepare for. Whereas in the humanities or in the social sciences, a lot of times it's more paper. So you'll write reports or papers through the course of the semester. Isn't the traditional adage is that however many hours of class there are a week, you'll double that outside of the classroom? So if the class meets, for example, imagine this, if a class meets twice a week for 2 hours, that's 4 hours of in-class time a week, so that might be 8 hours of out-of-class time a week, which sounds like a lot right now until you realize that one day is 24 hours. If we're really, really generous and we budget and say you're going to sleep for 9 hours, you're going to spend like 2 hours eating, there's a lot of time in the day in college that you don't have in high school, because in high school you're in class for much more time.
Very true.
I feel like, today I had 2 classes. I was in class for 4 hours, and by the end of that, I came back to my room and I'm totally pooped. So it's usually not at all like that.
One thing I like, a few years ago, we made the switch to 4-credit classes, which from my angle, I was seeing students in the past taking 5 classes a semester and being just spread way too thin. And so under this 4-credit model, students typically take 4 classes a semester. And I just think it allows you to do much better work.
Absolutely.
So in conclusion, it's really about what you make it. If you're a hard worker, then you're going to get a great experience and you're going to get something really valuable out of an education year. But if you don't work hard, then you might be in a little bit of trouble. So yeah, I suggest you work hard wherever you are, whatever stage of life you are in. All right, so next question.
I love this question.
Yeah, I know, it's a little sweet question.
Well, we should
It is.
share it.
Yes, you should. So what would you say is the best quality of Goucher College that is not seen anywhere else? So Jamie, how about we start with you?
I would say that I think it's a place for everyone at Goucher.
Yeah.
I personally love how curious the students are, or the whole community. I think that we, as has been mentioned, are social justice oriented students, care a lot about the community. They're eager to see the rest of the world. But I do also think that it is a welcoming place. And so it's not just for athletes or just for, whatever. I don't know another example. But
No, you're right. Goucher is a really, really welcoming community. And I was chatting with some of the admissions counselors the other day. We were trying to talk about what does the typical Goucher student look like, and it was impossible. We really couldn't do it because there's so many different kinds of people here. So no, I really agree. That was really well said.
Yeah. So I would say it's the person-to-person relationship we have here. We are a very small community, and people here really do care for each other because we just know each other so well. And I was really surprised when I came here because I didn't really have a good experience at high school at all. And, I just didn't really build a connection with anybody despite I went to a very small private school. But when I came here, that feeling really dissolved and I really blended in with the community super quickly. And the people here do actually care about each other, which is not something you will find everywhere. So yeah, I do value the person-to-person connection we have here. And it is very hard to find.
That's really similar to what I was going to say. It's actually, we're all kind of in the same thread.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
I was going to say the thing that I think is so special about Goucher that you might not be able to see on the tours or in the promo material is the relationship that you're able to make with the professors themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, really special, I think, when you have such a small class size. The smallest class, the largest class I was ever in was 30 students. And that was an intro to psychology class. And that class was full. Like, we considered that class to be totally full. The smallest class I ever had was 4 students. It's like the 3 of us. Or you can imagine if Jamie is being the professor, it's the 2 of us and then like 2 more students. And that was the class. And we met 3 times a week for like an hour and a half and talked about French politics. And that was invigorating. but the thing that I think is really special that you might not realize about that is that you really get to learn the professors, and the professors really get to learn about you. And it's really special when we have community events, or we have center events for the center that we all participate in, being the Center for People, Politics, and Markets. And it's really, really, I think it's really special to be able to have those connections with the faculty members themselves.
So what is an average weekday like? Weekend day? So I can walk through my schedule. So I woke up this morning, and the first thing I did was go to the gym. And after the gym, I met friends for breakfast. And after that, I did go to class for 4 hours straight. And after class, I pretty much came to admissions and I started working. The first thing I did was giving a tour. And after that, I was walking back to my dorm. But then I ran into some friends, and we decided to do homework outside on the lawn. Yeah, the weather is so nice today. So yeah, it's been a very spontaneous day. Yeah. What about you, Chris?
My day was actually very, very similar. I woke up at 9.
Later than me.
This is my last semester, so I was very fortunate. I was able to arrange my schedule so that my classes were a little later in the day, so I was able to sleep in most days. But I woke up at 9, and I went to Alice's, which is our coffee shop on campus, and I got some coffee, and I got a bagel, and I watched a movie for my French seminar. I watched it with headphones in, and I watched it on my computer. I wasn't subjecting everyone to the French cinema. And then I went to my IR capstone for 2 hours, and then I went to a philosophy class that I'm auditing for 2 hours. And then I went and I checked in with a professor for an hour, and we talked about life and academics, and just kind of wove it in and out. I went back to my room. I hung out on one of the hammocks on campus because, again, it was a really beautiful afternoon. And then I ate dinner and I came here. A weekend. I'm trying to think.
Oh God, this is a very difficult question because you will get a different answer from every single one of us. I like to go to Baltimore and DC a lot, so you will catch me in the city for most of the weekends if I don't have a lot of things going on at campus. So yeah, there's a lot to do in the city of Baltimore. I love to go to the museum, Baltimore Museum of Art, and I have friends who are at Hopkins, so I do go visit them. There's a lot of great Asian restaurants. Just found a ramen place called Peko Ramen. It's next to Hopkins. You can actually take the College Town shuttle and get off at the Hopkins stop and walk maybe 10 feet, and there's a ramen shop. So yeah, that's my new discovery, and I've been trying to go for as much as I can. So yeah, I do like to spend my time in the city.
This is actually, I was going to mention that one thing I think is a transition for a lot of students coming to college is that you've already mentioned this, that you have to structure your time, right? And so that can be a little bit of a challenge. And so the next question is, how does the Academic Center for Excellence work? And they're actually a great resource for students for issues like time management, transitions to college. They also have either of you worked or used ACE? We call it ACE.
Yeah. I do work with PJO pretty frequently. I do a lot of things on campus, so my head is always running around. So is my body. Well, my head more than my body. So yeah. So we sit down every single Friday and we go through my weekly schedule, and she pretty much picks it apart and asks me if I'm using my time productively during this period, if I'm doing what I should be doing, and she's like teaching me method of how to discipline myself, which is very important and something I really haven't thought about before. So yeah, I work pretty closely with ACE, and they have been an awesome resource for me. And if it wasn't for them, I don't think I would be getting my homework done, honestly. So
And I appreciate their focus on the whole person, right,
Mhm.
and taking care of yourself. And there's a great dog who hangs
Oh
out
my
in
God.
ACE.
Oh
Yeah.
Lovely
my gosh, she's
environment.
amazing.
Yeah.
Very much
It's
so.
really good. And ACE was also really helpful for learning differences. If you need maybe if you need to take an exam in a quiet place, you can do that through ACE. Or if you need to have extra time for exams, that can all be done through ACE. So they wear a lot of hats in that
Yeah, they
office.
And there is a formal process to go through if you do need academic accommodations. And when you go through that, their center will send confidential material to the faculty member saying, the student needs a note taker or the student needs time and a half on test. But you would do that through ACE.
So the next question is, what is the tolerance of conservative opinions? Like we mentioned before, Goucher is a relatively left-leaning campus, but that doesn't mean that we do not. That doesn't mean that we don't have conservatives on this campus, and we do have active conservatives on this campus. We have Goucher Republican Club, and they have been coexisting with Goucher Democrats and Goucher Socialists. They have not been attacked by anybody, and we just pretty much coexist with each other. This is a funny question because I was actually having a conversation with my friend the other day about this kid who was wearing a MAGA hat on campus, and we were pretty much talking about um, people's reaction and how this should be received, and we really came to the conclusion that he's free to express his opinion, and we shouldn't stop him from being a Trump supporter because that's just that's what he supports, and that's okay.
I think the thing that's important to point out when we talk about people's political inclinations when they're coming to campus is that I think that Goucher is a place that can be critical, and I don't mean to say critical in a negative way, but critical in the sense of like we really want to ask questions and we really want to like interrogate claims, and this is maybe part of the just the education style of being like a rigorous education that really pushes you to think critically. So if you want to go to a college where you're going to be surrounded by people that think like you, if you're conservative, then Goucher might not be a very good fit for you. But I think that it depends, because if you want to come to a college where people are having conversations and you want to participate in those conversations, then I think the Goucher is a really good fit for you. So I think it depends on the person.
Very much so.
So next question. What would you say was the biggest shock about transitioning from a high school student into a Goucher student?
Well, one thing that hit me really hard is that everybody is so nice here. I remember going to high school. The first day, nobody talked to me. Nobody bothered to say hi or introduce themselves to me. But when I came to Goucher, it was not like that at all. I mean, we just. So I attended this program called Gopher Day. It's for admitted students who has or has not decided to come to Goucher, and we will all come the same day and visit. And I think I made like 20 different friends on that day, and we weren't even deciding on coming to Goucher. So yeah, these are really just Goucher really just attracts a special type of people that is super friendly and is able to reach out to others and to build a community. So yeah, that was my biggest shock, that people are way too nice here.
The thing that was the biggest shock for me was that you have so much more free time in college than you do in high school. And this is true about colleges wherever you go, but it's especially true about Goucher because mostly everyone lives on campus, and we eat on campus, and we go to school. Obviously, we go to classes on campus. So none of that time is taken up in transit, right? It takes 10 minutes max to walk from your dorm to campus. Or excuse me, walk from the dorms to the classrooms. And the dining hall and the library are located smack dab in the middle. So for me, it was kind of like, okay, so I go to class and then I have an hour to kill before my next class. What do you do?
So much free time.
So much free time. So I really recommend. It's a really good way to help organize your day and see like when you have free time, when you can be doing your homework and when you're just relaxing. The next question, how do you think that Goucher has helped you in your personal growth? This is kind of a deep question because I've been reflecting a lot on this because it's my final semester. I'm about to graduate. I've been thinking about how much I've grown over the past 4 years. I think one of the big things about personal growth is tied to the study abroad component, because that's kind of like a workout in life, you know. Like when you go abroad, you're not necessarily like working on your major per se. Like when I went to Japan, I wasn't taking international relations classes, and I definitely wasn't taking French classes. but oh man, I came back and I had such a different perspective on everything, and I felt like I had gained so much insight just from learning learning how to like navigate a new train system. That really kind of helps your brain. And so when I came back and I was doing a whole bunch of stuff, I was like, I'm not even stressed, because like I know what stress is, and stress is like going to town hall in a language when you don't speak the local language and you're trying to navigate through local bureaucracy. That's stressful. Anything at Goucher is nowhere nearly as stressful as that. So that was, I think that I found that really striking. Personal growth.
So one way I think I have grown a lot since I've been at Goucher is because of the opportunities Goucher has provided me. So when I came in as a first semester, I pretty much just jumped head in and into this college life. I started running for student government as soon as I could. As soon as the email got to me, I was like, I'm running for this. And pretty much every single email that was sent to me said, hey, apply to this, be on this committee. I did that. So yeah, that's a result of I shouldn't have done all the things I did, but that's another story.
No, but you learn.
Yeah, exactly. And you do grow from all of the independence and all of the responsibility being put on you. And that's something you will never experience in high school, just because how much agency you have here compared to high school, it's so different. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the opportunities being offered here, it's really incredible. And I suggest you should take advantage of them as much as you can and as soon as you can. So how do meal plans work? Do they include 3 meals a day? So good question, Tess. So when you're coming in as a first year, you will get a 19 meal per week meal plan. And let me tell you, you never finish 19 meals a week. That is just a fact. And so I actually made a lot of upperclassmen friends through swiping them into the dining hall. They would just text me.
You're gonna get us a problem.
Oh no! All right, this story stops here.
Yeah. As an upperclassman, you have the choice to choose. I think it's a 15 meal a week or then a 10 meal a week plan. We do weekly meals because that way you don't get to the end of the semester and you run out, either halfway through the semester or you get to the end of the semester and you realize you have all these meals left. It just helps like regulating each week, exactly how many meals you have. You have 10 meals and it's easier to keep track so you're not running over or running under.
And there are different ways that you can use them. I don't know as much about this, but I do know you don't have to sit at the dining hall and eat your meal upstairs, that there's a kind of grab and go option, a pick 3 that they have at what is the market?
Yeah, supermarket.
Yeah, so if you have a short period of time between classes, you can run and grab something to go and use your meal swipe for that.
And our Alice's Cafe also accepts meal swipes. I think I believe you can get a sandwich, a handcrafted beverage, and a fruit bag of chips. So yeah, there's 3 different places on campus that will take your meal swipe. So yeah, you can use them up pretty easily, I'd say.
So next question, do you ever have trouble getting the classes you want or need for your major? Yuchen, have you?
Oh yeah, experienced a little bit of difficulty.
Really?
Just because I'm a first year and my priority for selecting class is a little bit lower, is a little bit behind compared to the upperclassmen. But I pretty much got into every single class that I needed to from a major, and I'm a triple major, so I have my little.
So did you ever have difficulty because you have 3 majors right now? Did you ever have a situation where you might have classes like overlapping?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That does happen. But I said the main reason that people struggle getting into classes is because they're a first year and their priority is a little bit behind. But that's not really a problem because as you move up in years, you're gonna get into the classes easier and easier. So yeah, you can pretty easy. You can.
It's interesting. It's interesting that you say that because I was thinking I don't think I've ever had trouble getting in, but I'm a senior, so
Yeah.
I think my memory might be a little fuzzy if it goes back. But it's interesting because the reason that we have that hierarchy is because like when you're a senior and it's like, oh, I need to get into this one class to graduate. It's like you need to get into that one class to graduate. Whereas if you're a first year, then you have a little bit more flexibility, and if you need to pump something back to the next semester, you can usually do so without too much of that hassle.
And one experience I've had is always message your professor, always send them an email, because there will always be students who are not sure about the classes or just drop out after one, and that is a chance for you to swoop in and get that spot. So yeah, stay in touch with your professor. That's always super helpful.
And also, once you declare your major, I mean, you can sit down with your advisor and map out your course of study. Most faculty will know, okay, this class is only offered every other year, so you really need to think about that class during this semester. Or if you want to go abroad this semester, then keep in mind that you'll need to take this class at another semester. So it's really good to work closely with your advisor. And one change that we'll be doing this coming year for the first time is we'll have first year advisors who are exclusively focused on first year students. That's their full-time job. So that will be a really exciting change, I think.
So next question, do you have a quintessentially Goucher story to tell?
I gotta think about this. Jamie, do you have one?
I think one of mine would just have to be going abroad and meeting up with other Goucher students when you're all abroad. Because one of the cool things about Goucher and everyone going abroad is that there's little communities. So it's really easy. So for example, when I was in Brussels, it was really easy to go to Glasgow or to go to London or to go to Paris and then meet up with the Goucher people who are studying there. And then it's like you have a place to stay. They know all the cool places. They're the like local spots to go, and they're kind of like taking you around and being like, oh, like this is my my friend from home. And that's really cool because it's kind of like you get like local treatment, but at the same time you're hanging out with other Americans, so it's not as like culture shock-ish. That's probably like my like quintessential Goucher story.
Okay, next question. Is lifeguarding an option as an on-campus job? Yes, it is. You do need to be certified, and I believe we do have programs down at the pool that will help you get certified to become a lifeguard. And I believe they pay pretty well for a lifeguard, and it's a pretty good job to have for sure.
So the next question, why should I choose Goucher? That's a good question. I think that one of the things we were saying that we've been touching on a lot tonight is the Goucher community. And I think that that's something that it's one of those cool things, obviously we have a lot of really cool promotional material. I mean, you see the campus, you see how beautiful it is. So we don't need to tell you how beautiful our campus is. But it's really, really special when you're a Goucher student and you feel like you're a member of the community. It feels like you can just walk into the dining hall with no plans and run into a group of friends and sit down and eat with them. I went to a really big high school. My high school was like 2-3 times the size of Goucher's. So coming to Goucher was like, whoa, this is like, it's like you actually know people and people actually know you. And that's really special, It's really special to feel like you're not just a number, that you actually belong, and that like the professors know you and other students know you.
And I would say that those relationships last for a lifetime. I mean, I think back to when I was a student here. I had two students interview me today about they were doing a project for one of their CPE classes, which is part of the general education curriculum, and they were doing a project on friendships. They were asking me about my friendships, my work friendships, but also my friendships when I was a student here. And I thought about how many close relationships I still have from my time as a student here 25 years later or whatever it's been. But also thinking about my relationship with my students as well. And it's very common for me to get an email from a former student saying, hey, I just read this magazine article and it reminded me of this class and I hope you saw it. And I mean, those are priceless to me. Yeah. I love that they're always thinking back to our class together and still connecting and still thinking about what they can offer to current students.
So next question, what advice would you give to your past self at this point in your senior year?
That question is for you, Chris.
Oh, this is really difficult because I'm a senior now and that was 4 years ago. Well, the first thing would obviously be to get on Google Calendar right now. I would tell my past self to keep up the hustle. I would say that there's a lot of opportunities at Goucher. The only thing is that you have to go out and take them, And I encourage you to keep that motivation up. And this is, I guess, generally just for high school students in general. When you come to Goucher, I think that it can be really overwhelming just in the very first little bit because you're coming to college, and going to any college is really overwhelming. And if you're able to just kind of like sit back and say, what is in my control is in my control, then the goodness of the school comes in a lot quicker because you're kind of like your defenses aren't up so high. So I would encourage you to come in with an open mind and a big smile, to say yes to everything for the first week, and those opportunities that Goucher has, will slowly start to filter into your life, like you, Chen, until you're getting to the point where you need to go to
take a break. Yeah,
to take a break,
just stop everything
and go to the Academic Center for Excellence and have them like
work out my schedule, work out my life.
Keep your door open for the first little bit of orientation.
Absolutely. Yes, you do. And if I may answer this question, advice I would give my senior year high school self is that it's okay to be different. It's okay if you're not having a good time in high school. This is not going to last forever, and you're not going to always be sad. And whatever situation you're going through, just know that there's people out there who share the exact same experience as you, and they have gone through it, and you will too. Yeah.
So, in closing, thank you for tuning in to the final Goucher Ask Me Anything. If you're ready to commit to Goucher, you can submit your intent to enroll and deposit through the application and financial aid status portal. If you already have, thank you, and keep paying attention to your email and the new student portal.
Definitely check your email. Super, super important.
If you have any more questions, reach out to askastudent@goucher.edu or your admissions counselor. You have until May 1st to make your final decision. And we look forward to welcoming many of you in the fall as member of the Goucher College class of 2023. Bye.